Morning everyone, Steel Horse here. Welcome back to Griffin, Indiana. We're back with Kevin and Jocelyn, and Kevin's just filled up the large trailer with some silage. You can see that we're in April, so we skipped through the end of March, seeing as we got so much work done, stocking and the like at the end of the last episode. So sort of just that let things mosey on for the remainder of March. But of course that means our lease costs have rolled in and we're back 6,000 in the negative. So Kevin's just heading down down to Larson's to sell a load of silage in the big trailer, just to make that a little more efficient. And he put the large class on because we'll duck across to the shop because the second-hand spreader that we bought is still sitting there, and we're going to need that in order to take care of the couple of fertilizing contracts that we picked up at the end of the last episode. Additionally, there should be also some sowing equipment there because a rather large seeding contract came up, and that was just a bit too good to pass up on, particularly as it represents a way to turn our seeds that we make into cash, and they tend to disappear really quick out of the contract list. So there were actually a couple of big ones, but he only managed to grab one before they were snapped up. So there's obviously a bit of competition to do that sort of work in this area. Nonetheless, we have one to go on with, so we'll take care of that in just a second. First order of business is let's get this sold and get our costs back in the... Oops, let's try it for the correct trigger. It would probably make that easier. There we go. So as usual, when he's just sort of going about doing his chores, he's always looking for an angle and another plan. There we go, 8,000 into the positive. So that's excellent. We got 14,000, near enough to 14,400 for that load of silage, and there's another one that size sitting in the silo, so we'll just hang on to that for the moment. We'll concentrate on getting these contracts sorted. You can see we're going to be blessed with a fairly large planter there. Now, which side are we picking up here? By any chance, can we drive straight on? We can. We'll pick you up. And we'll get one of the guys from the store here to follow us back up, because we'll need to go back to the farm to load up some seed. Let's just get that straightened out. Nice big Aeon 930 today. So you can imagine the field we need to seed is pretty sizable. Certainly bigger than our normal one. So we've got two fertilizing contracts, one of which is a pretty reasonable size, field 12 and field 20, and then field 19 is where we're planting. Sorry, I tell a lie. planting, not seeding. So we're putting corn into field 19. So we have a look at the map. So 19 is this one right near the farm, which is fairly convenient. 20 is just tucked in here, also not too far away. And what was the other one that we were doing? Mine's gone blank. It's not flashing at me. Why is it not flashing at me? 19, 20. And 12. 12 was the other number we needed. And that is... Oh, it's in yellow right in front of me. So they're all in a block that's pretty convenient to us, which makes it easy to progress. So we'll just get back up and fill up with some seed and some fertilizer. Now we'll just pop the trailer on the end here and stop the worker on the planter. And we can take you around, and with any luck, hopefully we might be able to fill you. We might have a little height problem. That'll be the biggest concern, which could then mean we've got to go and lease a piece of equipment, which is on his list of things to buy, but which is a tender. But he just hasn't put the money down for it. We can certainly fund it from the contracts that we've got. Let's see how we go here. We fill you up. Which tank is which? And you're not under that spout. No, it just doesn't want it. Just not enough room under there for this piece of equipment, which is a little bit annoying. Pretty sure it won't work driving through on the other side, but just in case, even the railings on the other side will almost certainly have collisions and will be a little bit higher. We're never going to make that clearance there. So we are going to have to solve the tender problem. We live and learn. Kevin will have to do another trip down to pick up the tender. So we'll park this out on the road for the minute and get the fertiliser organised. We put a little bit of fertiliser under the store here when we emptied, or under the lean-to here when we emptied the rental that we'd had. So we will use all of that up first. while that's filling, the tender that he's got in mind, where are we here? There's a few options. See, we could go with something like this on the back of our trailer. That's not a bad price. It's 7,500. Or we could go for the Strobel at 2,500, which will do both seed and fertilizer. So what are we, 7 meters there? Just looking at, by the time we put the seed runner on a bed, it's not a particularly high pickup, so we've only got a low trailer, so I think we will be better off with the Strobel. Now for that we need 25,000 because it does make sense to be buying this one. So I think what that means is we need to complete these fertilizing contracts, or at least the bigger one, and let's see, whoops, yeah, so we've got 19,000. So if we complete the fertilizing contracts, we'll then have enough money to buy the tender and get on with the sowing contract. So I think that's the plan. So let's get down to fields 12 and 20 and take care of those. And we'll leave the seeder right there for the moment. There is another fertilizing contract available, but it remains to be seen if that'll still be there when we get these done. So field 20 is just in front of us here, so we'll run around and sort that out really quickly. We'll just get our spreader onto the back here. Right, and an easy enough field shape. We can see what our coverage is like. It shouldn't take long to duck around here. Now, if you caught up in the last episode, one of the decisions that Kevin had been pondering was what to plant, particularly in the twilight field and in the new field, and he pretty much reached the decision that actually it might be a good opportunity to give soybeans a go, change the crop, you know, just vary the crop a little bit, but also with a view to keeping the costs down and not having to hire an expensive corn header on top of, or lease an expensive corn header on top of the grain header that will be required for the other crops we've got in. So that was kind of thought number one. And since then, and what that gave rise to, because soybeans plants in May and then harvests, the earliest is October, is the potential. Let's just bring this in a little. Is the potential to double crop. So there's that field done. That didn't use a lot at all, which was pretty handy. So we'll just continue on in field 12, which I think is right here opposite us. Just check the bigger map to make sure we're not going to fertilize the wrong field. It is the one right in front of us. Let's put back to full width. Yeah, so it introduces the opportunity to double crop the field, because we can plant soybeans in May, harvest in October, and then still have enough time to get a wheat crop in before the winter. So he's thinking he's liking that plan. And while he's kind of on having good ideas, he was thinking back, sort of forced him to think in depth about last year's harvest, where all things worked out pretty well. He leased a harvester and then ended up, in addition to our own crop, keeping it longer than he expected to take advantage of a variety of contracts that were available. Now, a couple of them, if he'd known he was going to, well, a couple of them he borrowed equipment to deal with. So part of his musing at the minute, he hasn't made a decision, but what he's thinking about is perhaps, instead of leasing equipment, perhaps he goes to the bank and makes a deal. Now, whilst we're sitting on a pretty hefty mortgage at the moment, about 750,000, I think, at 8%. If he could, we're sitting on almost $2 million worth of land, so there's plenty of equity and a growing pool of equipment, along with the track record of last year, where we got the best part of 200,000 in income from our various crop and silage activities. We've got cattle coming along, which we'll be starting to sell. So he's thinking he can probably make a pretty good proposal to the bank manager to say, well, how about you let me have another $750,000, and this time I'll avoid the leasing expense on the harvester, and I'll actually buy a bigger harvester than I need right now, but one that'll enable us to tackle efficiently our own crops, but also potentially some of these contracts come up, and the aim being to cover the interest on the 750,000. So let's say the bank comes along to the party and says, yeah, sure. Well, it's going to be another $50,000 or $60,000 worth of interest just to service the loan. So he'd need a couple of contracts to make that work. But all up, it would be a potentially interesting approach to the harvest season, with the upside over a few years if he ends up with his own really good harvester that probably a bit faster than he was anticipating. So that's currently where his thinking's at. Let's spin this round here. Oops, could be over a little bit further. So yeah, that's the current kind of idea. Now, no actions required on that just yet. The main thing he's got to do is start a dialogue with the bank and see how interested they might be, and he worked long enough in finance up in Minneapolis to know there's always, they're going to want their pound of flesh, so nothing comes for nothing. It's a question of as good as he thinks the proposal is, what is it extra that they're going to want? Oh, and of course, the other thing that is a possibility, and just adds to the picture, is the spinnery that we did borrow for is more evidence that we're getting on top of things, because we should have a pallet of fabric there to sell to demonstrate that, you know, the sheep are producing and their production's only going to grow in the coming years. So that's currently just washing its face, but as we move forward we'll start to make some more profit. So it's a pretty good picture. It's a bit of a risky gamble. If he doesn't get the contract, that could put a bit of pressure on. But looking around, there's lots of crop in the ground. We can have a look at what's planted shortly to see, you know, how risky an idea it really is. But with a big combine, should provide an opportunity to get through some contracts pretty quickly. So there you go, that's what he's thinking. Let's just tootle across here. About 2/3 of the way through this field, and all being well, we will get it done. So this is turning our manure into quite lucrative contract income as well. Let's just back out there a little bit. With any luck, just another stripe or so here, and this job will be in the bank. And whilst when he got up this morning, he wasn't expecting necessarily to have to pick up a seed tender, it looks like that's going to be the result. So another piece of equipment. It would have been nice to pick one up second hand, but I've got no control over what comes up in the sales, so we will just take it as it comes. It was interesting, on the contract board there was also the mill was looking for a contract to be delivered with 30-odd thousand litres of barley, which they were paying quite a nice price for. Unfortunately, our barley's still in the ground. We've got wheat in the silo, so we weren't in a position to take advantage of that one. Oops. Let's try not to leave a strip on both sides. We'll come back and finish the right-hand side if we need to. It's looking like we'll get pretty close to finishing this contract on this run up the field, I would say. Now, there was a good suggestion in the comments after the last episode. So that pasture that we've put in front, just over the top of the, you can just see up on the side of the hill above that house that's in front of us, the latest pasture that we put 30 Angus calves into. The suggestion was to call that Woody End pasture, which I thought was a good one. So that is now renamed Woody End. So when we bring it up on the on the map or in the info box, that's what it'll show as. And there we go, that's this contract finished. I think seeing we've started down the run, we should, for completeness, just do it. We'll bring the spray width in so we're not double handling. How far is that? That is the smallest. That wasn't a bad job at all. 10 o'clock in the morning, and we've got those fields done. What else was on the board in terms of fertilizing contracts while we're down here and with fertilizer in the machine? There were definitely a bunch of grass contracts starting to appear again now that we're in the new year. So fertilizing on 12 we can collect, fertilizing on 20 we can also collect. Oh, there we go, there are a number of fertilizing contracts. So another big one, which I think we will accept given we've got fertilizer in the factory. We don't have to do that today. So that's that. And what's number 3? Yeah, we'll take that one. But right now, while we're down here, we'll go across and do the same trick we did before. We'll purchase the seeder, the seed tender, and put our spreader here on the back and head back to the farm. Where do we go there? Auger wagons. So the one we want is the Strobel. Looks pretty smart. I like that one. And so we will buy one of those exactly as it comes. Turn our machine around. And head back to the farm. Let's see how we go here, filling up. And you should be able to fill up with fertilizer like so. And hopefully you should be able to fill up with seeds. Let's have a look in the production. We've got a little bit of seed, a little bit of fertilizer. Why can I not? Not under the trigger there? Maybe I'm not. Let's try it round the other side. I've not been able to figure out how to fill the second hopper on this tender. There is something that is amiss with the instructions. However, there is definitely enough seed to be going on with for the seeding job, so we'll get that underway. And we can leave the tender. Did that pick up a driver? It did not. We can, just down the bottom of the hill, given the field we're going to plant is just in front of just in front of the house. There we go. Now we have a helper. Thankfully, this is a quiet farm road. The main traffic on it seems to be us. So will I be able to fill it from this side? We'll find out in a second. Okay. Still no joy. Right. Okay. Let's try and prepare you this way. And let's see if we can get the tender in a position to do this. After a little bit of fiddling around with positioning, we managed to get all of the seed out of the little factory. So we've got about 4,300 litres of seed in here. And we put some more wheat in the factory so that it's making some more seed while we fill this up. We've expanded or unfolded the planter, and we know that in order to fill it, it's a pretty close run thing reaching across with this auger, and that's not anywhere near close enough. So we just got to be a little bit tricky here and just get into the right position. We should be, I think, able to. Can we fill you up there? Just a little bit tricky to get it to. There we go. Select the right tank and away we go. Fill up with seed so that we can get going with our corn planting. So we're up here on course 19. Let's have a look. 12 meters wide, one tool. We want 2 headlands. We will start in the center. Let's see what it gives us. It's running on a little bit of an angle, but let's try. Yeah, let's just go with that one, I think. And we'll drive it down to its start, which is just down the bottom here. So it's going to run at the up and downs on a bit of a strange angle, but I think overall it will work out fairly well. And I'm not anticipating it's going to take too long to get the field done. Meanwhile, we can go and take care of maybe one more of those fertilizing contracts. So this one comes back towards us first up. Just like so. We want to start at the first waypoint and off we go. Should be pretty much you underway. Excellent. We're getting corn into the ground. Just what we want to see. We don't need to take the tender with us. We can just move that out of the way so it doesn't get hooked up on any of the turns. And put it on our field just over the road here, or at least on the edge. We can head across to field 3 and field 6. We'll do field 3 first, I think. So I'll see you over there. So here we are on field 3. This is one of those fields we had the big ploughing contract on. So we can call on a little bit of memory. It's a long skinny field. There we go. So apart from being a longish field, this shouldn't take us too long. We might just go with a regular worker on here so that we can check back on our other planter. The only thing we're going to watch is that he does turn around at the end of that field. It can be a little bit of a habit. As expected, the planter's making a pretty good fist of it. And shouldn't take too long to get through here. Short up and downs are out of the way now, and they're pretty long runs across this next section of the field. Also looks like that 2,500 litres of corn we've got in there will go a fair old distance, so that's good. Let's just keep an eye on our friend here and make sure that we do actually get a turn at the end of the field. Don't want him running our fertiliser onto that field next door that's already fertilised. And it would have been a problem. So what we'll do is put an end on for ourselves. This sometimes happens when the strip isn't quite wide enough there for the worker to detect. And they run over. Pull off the edge, Chief. Let's get in the right spot. And looking at the field, it'll be up, back and back. So just the 4 runs up and down will be enough for this field by the looks of it. And it hasn't taken very long at all. Pretty easy field, this one. But I think before we can do the final contract, we might actually need to make some more fertiliser, which will involve shifting some more manure into the plant. So I'll have to go and have a look at that. I can't remember what our fertiliser stocks are like. Either way, that'll be enough contract activity for the day, but it's certainly proving a lucrative way to fill a period of time between when our fields are prepared and when the next job we have to wait for. So the investment in the seed and fertiliser plants worked out really well, because it turns these large contracts into a really effective way to utilise those resources. I'm pretty sure that's that contract done. Let's just check. So we have completed field 3, which we can collect. Our sowing contract's about a third of the way there, and we've got that big contract to go. So the big contract's on field 6, which is right here, isn't it? Just over the road here. So what we should do is at least do this corner back here and empty out the... It's just looking at the size of the field, it may well take more than one hopper of our fertiliser. Just run down the edge here and empty out what we've got. $200 litres left in the tank, and we're coming up towards a quarter of the field done. So I think that's a good result. Means we should be able to finish it off with just another tank in the spreader here. And the other thing that we'll do, just to make sure we keep our efficiency up, now that we've got some money in the bank, is we'll stop in at the store on the way past, and yeah, there we go, 30% completed, and we'll get the spreader repaired just to make sure that it's at maximum efficiency for the last spreading that we've got. We didn't have the fun, because we weren't shopping for the spreader when we bought it, we were just being opportunistic when it came up in the store. We left it sitting there and we didn't get the repairs done at the time we purchased it, which is the way we would normally have done it. But, it's been a good day for contracts today, so let's make sure we maintain our equipment. We can also do a little bit on the class as well. Right. I'll see you back at the farm where we'll check the planting on the way past. There's good progress being made in the background there. Almost finished the up and down, so we'll finish comfortably in the next episode. I would expect we'll have plenty of seed if that's required, and we'll also have some well, we'll check our fertiliser levels now before we sign off, I think, to make sure that we've got enough to finish that contract. So there was still some under the porch here. probably... I'm going to have to just back you in a little bit, I think, to pick you up. Not as much partial ones. So 1300 there. So we need 2600 to be in here. And there is. That's good to know. So we're good to go for next time. Still a little bit left, and there is plenty of seed should that be required. So contract wise, those two are in good shape. There are more fertilizing contracts if we have the time and choose to do them. Similarly, there's a couple of good baling contracts if we want to tackle those. So, and we may take one for hay. We'll just wait and see. Next time we will need to make a mix for the cows. They have enough food to get us, there's only 12 of them in there, but we'll need to make them some TMR so that they stay fed, and the others we topped up with hay last time. But I think that'll do us for today. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time. See ya.